In this very moment, the invisible threads of global destiny are tightening under a pressure that humanity has not felt in decades, marking the beginning of a profound cycle of transformation that many already sense in their souls. It is no coincidence that geopolitical maps are being redrawn while the heavens seem to emit signals that modern science cannot decipher, but which ancient faith had already foreseen with bone-chilling accuracy. The Marian prophecies, guarded for centuries by the silence of Vatican walls and the devotion of the humble, are converging right now at a point of no return that will define the balance of nations in this year 2026. Listen carefully, because what is about to be revealed is not just a political analysis, but a celestial warning that transcends borders and human treaties, directly touching the future of your family and your security. Prepare to understand why the world you know is about to shift its axis of power toward a dimension that few are prepared to face, with a steady gaze and a prepared heart. You have come to this video because you feel deep inside that the time for indifference has run out and that the news you see on the screen is only the surface of a much larger spiritual battle. What I am going to share today is the key to understanding why certain powers are falling and why others are rising from the ashes of history, following a script that was dictated centuries ago in sacred apparitions. The Virgin Mary, in her infinite mercy, has left a trail of light so that those who have eyes to see can find refuge before the geopolitical storm reaches its absolute peak. This revelation is urgent because 2026 is not just another year on the calendar, but the threshold of a new era where the sovereignty of nations will be tested under the fire of divine truth. Do not ignore this message, as the information it contains could be the difference between walking in confusion or moving forward with the clarity of one who knows the secret plans of heaven. The promise I make to you today is simple but world-shaking. If you stay with me until the very end, you will understand the exact role your nation will play on the board of this great celestial conflict. We will not only analyze the movements of armies or economies, but we will also decode the spiritual code that determines which countries will prosper and which will face severe judgments for their actions. Many channels talk about politics, but none dare to connect the dots between the apparitions of Fatima, Garabandal, and the events currently unfolding in the heart of Europe and the Middle East. By the time this account is finished, your vision of the world will be completely transformed, shifting from being a victim of circumstances to becoming a conscious witness of divine justice. It is time to set aside trivial distractions and focus on what truly matters, because the destiny of nations has already been sealed in the heights, and today I will reveal it all to you. The urgency of this message lies in the fact that the times of grace are shortening, and the window of opportunity for nations to change their course is beginning to close slowly before our unbelieving eyes. This is not about generating fear, but about instilling a holy preparation. For knowledge of the Virgin's warnings is the most powerful shield a citizen of God's kingdom can possess today. The year 2026 has been pointed out in ancient manuscripts and contemporary visions as a year of celestial resetting, where human structures of power will be shaken to their deepest and darkest foundations. If you feel small before the vastness of global chaos, know that this message is precisely for the little ones, for those who seek maternal guidance in the midst of the gathering darkness. The Virgin does not speak to the proud who trust in their missiles, but to the humble who know that true power resides in prayer and in obedience to the eternal laws of the Creator. It is fundamental to understand that every event we see in the news, from energy crises to extreme weather patterns, are merely symptoms of a spiritual disease affecting the hearts of world leaders today. Celestial Geopolitics teaches us that nothing happens without divine permission, and that every nation has a guardian angel and a destiny to fulfill in the economy of universal salvation. During this journey, we will strip away the veil of media propaganda to observe reality through the lens of faith, discovering the true reasons behind the current global alliances. The Virgin Mary has repeatedly warned that if mankind does not return to its center, the earth itself will react to restore the balance that has been broken by greed and the forgetting of God. Therefore, this video is an invitation to vigilance, to keep the lamp burning while the world plunges into a night that promises to be as long as it is purifying for all humanity. Imagine for a moment that you have access to a map that shows not only physical borders, but the currents of grace and judgment flowing over every continent, indicating zones of refuge and zones of danger. That map exists in the wisdom of Marian prophecies, and today I am going to trace its main lines so that you know exactly where you stand and where you should direct your steps. Do not look for answers from analysts paid by the system. Look for the truth in the voice of the mother who never abandons her children in the moment of their most difficult trial. This content is the result of years of study, prayer, and discernment of the signs of the times, distilled now so that you can consume it in a fraction of the time. The commitment of this channel is to your soul and to the truth, which is why every word has been selected to awaken your conscience and strengthen your spirit against the coming challenges. To conclude this introduction and enter fully into the historical account that grounds everything we will say, I want you to ask yourself what you would be willing to do if you knew the future. The Virgin Mary does not only announce disasters, she offers solutions, paths of peace, and promises of final victory for those who remain faithful to her maternal call in times of crisis. In the next few minutes, we will travel through one of the most impactful apparitions in history to understand how the past explains our present and prepares us for the imminent 2026. Keep your mind open and your heart willing, because the information that flows next has been silenced by many. But today, it resonates with the force of thunder in the sky. We are about to enter the depths of the celestial message, where the shadows dissipate and the light of truth begins to illuminate the destiny of every single nation in the world. To understand the magnitude of what awaits us in 2026, we must step back to a moment when heaven touched the earth with a warning that many chose to ignore out of sheer pride. Imagine the hills of a devastated Europe, where the Virgin Mary manifested not only as a mother, but as the great strategist of peace, delivering secrets that contained the rise and fall of entire empires. She predicted with surgical precision the end of world wars and the rise of ideologies that would attempt to erase the name of God from the face of modern society. This historical account is not a simple legend of the past. It is the solid foundation upon which the prophecy we see fulfilling in today's international headlines is built. The authority of these apparitions resides in their exact fulfillment, proving that celestial geopolitics is always one step ahead of human intelligence services and political think tanks. By observing how warnings were fulfilled in the past, we can have absolute certainty that the destiny traced for nations in 2026 is an unavoidable and fast-approaching reality. A striking example is the message of Fatima, where the Virgin spoke specifically about Russia and the impact its errors would have on the moral and political structure of the entire world. She warned that if her requests were not heard, various nations would be annihilated and suffering would spread to every corner of human geography. affecting the innocent and the guilty alike. This vision was not an arbitrary divine punishment, but the logical description of the consequences for a humanity that decides to walk the edge of the abyss without a spiritual compass. Those words, spoken to 3 humble shepherds, changed the course of history and forced even the most powerful leaders to reconsider their positions before the sacred. Today, as we analyze 2026, we see that the same patterns of conflict and purification are resurfacing with a renewed force, demanding the attention that the world has systematically denied them. History repeats itself not out of cruelty, but as a final lesson for those nations that still have the opportunity to consecrate their future to her immaculate heart. It is fascinating to note how, in every relevant apparition, the Virgin Mary uses a language that blends maternal tenderness with the firmness of a queen who knows the enemy's moves. In La Salette, she wept bitterly over the decay of institutions and predicted crises that we see reflected today in the instability of our economies and the loss of national sovereignty. These accounts teach us that a nation's destiny is not decided only at the ballot box or on the battlefield, but in the depth of the spiritual life of its citizens. By studying these facts, we understand that 2026 will be a year of political harvest, where what has been sown in secret for decades will come to light with irreversible consequences. The Virgin is the sentinel who warns us before the first shot is fired or the first currency is devalued, giving us a strategic advantage that the secular world cannot grasp. Therefore, this historical foundation is vital. It gives us the base of credibility necessary to look toward the future with the security of one who knows the actual truth. At this point in our analysis, it is evident that you are part of a select group of people who do not settle for the surface and who seek real preparation for what is coming. It is precisely because of this loyalty and your desire to delve deeper into these mysteries that we have prepared something special to accompany your spiritual growth. Many of you have asked us how you can support this mission and, at the same time, possess physical tools that remind you of your commitment to celestial geopolitics. That is why, at this moment in our reflection, we want to present you with a unique opportunity to acquire our exclusive training material and blessed sacramentals that help us keep the faith. This support not only strengthens your home, but allows this message to continue reaching thousands of people who still walk in total darkness regarding the fate of their nations. It is an investment in your peace of mind and in the dissemination of a truth that the system tries to silence at all costs on social media platforms. Making this parenthesis is necessary because the battle we face requires resources and, above all, a united community that understands that high-value information has a purpose of salvation. By acquiring our resources or joining our membership, you become a fundamental pillar of this global alert work, allowing us to continue investigating the connections between heaven and earth. It is not simply a transaction, but an act of faith that seals your commitment to the times the Virgin has announced for this cycle culminating in 2026. The testimonies of those who have already taken this step are moving, reporting greater spiritual clarity and a sense of divine protection over their families in times of uncertainty. Take advantage of this moment, while the flow of history still allows us to connect and strengthen each other before digital restrictions become much more severe and limiting. Click the link in the description and be part of the remnant army that does not just watch history, but actively prepares to be a protagonist in the coming victory. Returning to our main thread, the impact of Marian apparitions on international politics is so profound that even secular historians cannot explain certain unexpected turns of fate. From the fall of walls that seemed eternal to the sudden cessation of hostilities that threatened total extermination, the Virgin's hand has been present in a silent but decisive way. She is the suppliant omnipotence who intercedes before the throne of God so that the time of nations may be extended, allowing more souls to reach the light of truth. However, in her messages for 2026, the tone shifts toward a much greater urgency, suggesting that the period of extension is reaching its natural and necessary conclusion. Celestial geopolitics indicates that the balance of power will shift from human hands toward a direct intervention that will end the arrogance of rulers who defy natural law. Understanding the past allows us not to panic when events accelerate, recognizing in every shake the hand of a mother who is purifying the home for her children. Finally, this historical account prepares us for the most difficult transition of our video, understanding how that same spiritual force will manifest in the specific crises we will see shortly. The Virgin Mary never leaves a message halfway. She always connects the warning with hope and the diagnosis with the ultimate cure for the soul of nations. As we look toward 2026, we must do so with the same seriousness with which the seers listened to the secrets in the past, knowing we are the generation. The destiny of your country, whether in America, Europe, or any corner of the world, is linked to the response we give to this maternal call echoing louder than ever. We are about to enter the detailed analysis of specific prophecies for 2026, where we will reveal the exact points of conflict and the areas where celestial protection will be most evident. Stay tuned, because the transition that follows will forever change how you read the newspaper and how you observe the sky in the nights of this final time. Let us take a profound pause and shift our perspective, for the very air we breathe seems to grow denser as we approach the heart of what heaven has decreed for 2026. If we have analyzed the past until now, from this second forward we enter the terrain of the imminent, where the shadows of future events are already beginning to project onto our daily reality. Notice how the rhythm of world events is accelerating, as if an invisible clock has begun a countdown that no one can stop, not even the most powerful men on earth. The music of history has changed its tone, moving from a melody of distraction to a drumbeat announcing an unprecedented paradigm shift in modern civilization. It is necessary for you to wake up from the media hypnosis and prepare to receive a truth that will shake the foundations of your material security, but will strengthen your spirit for the battle. What I am about to reveal to you next is the exact design of the purification that will begin to manifest with terrifying clarity in the coming months of this crucial cycle. Celestial Geopolitics for 2026 indicates that 3 major powers will face an eclipse moment, where their economic and military influence will be neutralized by events that escape conventional human control. The Virgin Mary has warned that the pride of nations will be their own trap, and we will see how alliances that seemed unbreakable crumble under the weight of internal betrayals and synchronized natural disasters. This is not about simple political crises, but a spiritual reordering where the geography of power will shift toward those places that have preserved a reserve of faith and humility before the sacred. In this period, the sky will send signs that will be visible across the entire firmament, forcing astronomers and world leaders to recognize that a superior will govern the destiny of the stars and men. The borders we defend today with armies will become porous before the force of a nature that reclaims its original order, following warnings given in apparitions such as Akita and Fatima. We are entering the time of times where every decision made by a national leader will have immediate and visible repercussions on the well-being of their people. The year 2026 will be remembered as the year of the Great Silence in international markets, a collapse that will not be born from a lack of money, but from a total loss of trust in systems that have supplanted God's law. The Virgin has shown in visions that currencies printed by man will lose their value before the basic need for divine protection and the sustenance shared among the true children of light. In this context, nations that have bet on extreme secularization and the forgetting of their Christian roots will experience a power vacuum that will be filled by unprecedented social confusion. However, not all is desolation. In the midst of this chaos, pockets of spiritual resistance will arise, small communities that, under Mary's mantle, will find the exact direction to navigate the storm without sinking into despair. This is the central content of the prophecy, the fall of modern Babels, to make way for a reign of peace that can only be established after a necessary and profound purification. You must choose today which side of the wall you will be on when the thundering sound of the fall begins to resonate in every corner. To illustrate this transition, we must observe the parable of the nations that built their houses on the sand of technology and transhumanism, ignoring the firm rock of eternal morality. Imagine a great ship sailing with bright lights and loud music, ignoring the warnings of the lighthouses that indicate the proximity of the reefs. That ship is the current geopolitics, ignoring Marian signs. In 2026, that ship will crash against the reality of its own fragility, and only those in the lifeboats of prayer and consecration will be able to survive the initial impact of the collision. The Virgin Mary is that lighthouse that has been emitting flashes of warning for decades, but only the faithful remnant has learned to read the light code in the midst of the thick fog. Prophecies indicate that there will be a specific event, a warning for the conscience of nations, which will stop all human activity for an eternal moment so that each soul sees its place. This event will be the catalyst that definitively separates the wheat from the chaff on the world political stage, redefining who the true leaders of humanity are. Within this block of core content, it is vital to understand that the destiny of nations in 2026 is also linked to the protection of life and the family, the two pillars Mary has always defended. Those nations that have legislated against natural law will see their social structures fracture from within, losing the cohesion necessary to face the external threats that will come from the east and the north. Celestial geopolitics reveals that there is a special protection over territories that decide to publicly consecrate themselves to the heart of Jesus and Mary, creating a kind of invisible shield against modern plagues. It is not a superstition. It is a spiritual reality documented in the history of nations that were saved from total destruction by a public act of faith by their rulers or people. In 2026, we will see this phenomenon repeat. While some regions suffer the rigor of justice, others will be oases of peace and miraculous providence in the midst of the global scarcity. The prophecy is clear. Heaven does not punish. It simply stops protecting those who have expelled divine protection from their laws and homes with pride. As we move forward in this analysis, the tension between human power and divine power will become more evident in the territorial conflicts that will break out over the control of basic resources. Do not be fooled by diplomatic speeches. Behind every military movement in 2026, there will be a struggle for the soul of populations and for the control of the final narrative of human history. The Virgin Mary has mentioned that Rome will lose the faith and become the seat of the Antichrist, a warning that resonates with terrifying force when we observe the confusion in the centers of spiritual power. This vacuum of moral leadership in the Western world will leave the way clear for charismatic figures to emerge, promising quick solutions in exchange for the freedom and faith of the citizens. This is where celestial geopolitics becomes a survival tool, allowing you to identify the wolf in sheep's clothing before it is too late for your family. The prophecy for 2026 calls us to a peaceful but firm resistance based on the truth revealed from the beginning and confirmed by Mary. Concluding this main content block, I want you to visualize the year 2026 not as the end of the world, but as the end of an unjust system that has oppressed human dignity. The destiny of nations is being weighed in the balance of eternal justice, and the result of that weighing will manifest in events that will change the face of the earth forever. Every nation will receive exactly what it has cultivated, but there will always be an open door for national repentance that can mitigate the effects of the purification announced by the Queen. What follows in our video is the irrefutable proof that these words are not empty through testimonies and promises that will be fulfilled before this video reaches its final minutes. Keep your attention at its peak, because we are about to enter the open loop that will reveal the best-kept secret about the prayer that can change the course of disasters. The light of truth is shining brighter than ever, dissipating the shadows of geopolitical uncertainty for those who have decided to listen to the voice of the Mother. Allow me to illustrate this dense geopolitical reality with a story that seems to have been written for our times: the parable of the kingdom of the hourglass. Imagine a prosperous nation that built the largest hourglass in the world, where every grain of sand represented wealth, technological advancement, or a military alliance that made them feel invincible against any foe. Their leaders boasted that time would never run out for them, as they had learned to turn the glass at their whim through deceit and the manipulation of the laws of nature and spirit. However, one day, a slender celestial hand stopped the mechanism, and the grains of sand began to glow with a light of their own, revealing the impurities and lies hidden deep within. The nation realized that what they considered their greatest treasure was, in reality, the very weight that would sink them when the glass was finally placed on the scales of eternity. This is the world in 2026, a civilization that believes it controls time, ignoring that the Virgin's hand has already marked the moment when the sand of falsehood will cease to flow. This parable teaches us that true sovereignty does not reside in the accumulation of power, but in the transparency of the national soul before the eyes of the One who sees all and judges with justice. In 2026, many nations will discover that their sand is contaminated by selfishness and pride, and they will watch in awe as much smaller, humbler countries remain standing while the giants crumble under their own weight. The Virgin Mary, in her many messages, has acted as the guardian of that hourglass, warning the children of God not to put their trust in structures that crumble through the fingers like dry dust. What we are experiencing is not an accident of history, but the fulfillment of a living parable that calls us to seek the pure gold of faith, the only material that does not vanish when human time comes to an end. It is time to stop looking at the clock of men and start observing the signs in the celestial firmament, where the destiny of nations has already been traced with letters of fire and hope. Now, I want to open a portal of hope for all of you, for I know that these truths can be overwhelming if received in solitude or with a fearful spirit. I promise you that before this video concludes, we will perform together the Prayer of Consecration of Nations, a plea so powerful it has been able to stop imminent catastrophes in the past. In the next 15 minutes, we will reveal the mystery of how a single soul in a state of grace can be the shield that protects an entire city from the events that 2026 has prepared. Do not leave, because what is to come in this final stretch is the practical key for your home to be an ark of salvation in the midst of the geopolitical deluge that approaches. This promise is not mine. It is the promise of the Queen of Heaven, who has assured that where there is a heart that prays, divine justice is transformed into infinite mercy and absolute protection. We are about to see how the theory of prophecy becomes the practice of spiritual survival for you and all your loved ones. To help you understand that this is not mere personal interpretation, I want to share with you the testimony of a follower of this community whose identity we will protect, but whose account is a lighthouse. This man, a high-ranking official in a European nation in crisis, began to apply the principles of celestial geopolitics that we share here, consecrating his office and his decisions to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. In the midst of an administrative collapse that left his colleagues in ruin and despair, he experienced a series of miraculous coincidences that not only protected his job but saved the security of his local community. He wrote to us saying, "When I stopped trusting the reports of my advisors and started trusting the warnings of the Virgin, doors that were closed opened with a force that no one could explain. And this is the power of social proof in the kingdom of God, seeing how faith translates into concrete deeds that defy the logic of the current economic and political system." Testimonies like this multiply daily on our channel, confirming that those who prepare spiritually for 2026 are receiving an internal navigation guide that others simply cannot perceive. I also remember the case of a mother in North America who, following our warnings about social instability, organized a prayer cenacle in her neighborhood just before a severe supply crisis broke out, while the stores were empty and violence grew in the main streets. Her small group never lacked the basics, and an inexplicable peace surrounded their homes as if they were in a different dimension. These accounts are proof that the Virgin Mary does not only announce the destiny of nations, but she actively cares for the individuals who form the faithful remnant within those very nations. You are not a number in a statistic of war or economy. You are a beloved child for whom heaven has a personalized and detailed rescue plan. That is why it is vital that you stay tuned, for the prayer we will share at the end is the seal that activates this protection. The emotional connection that arises from these testimonies reminds us that celestial geopolitics is not a cold intellectual exercise, but a relationship of love between a mother who sees danger and children who trust her voice. By hearing how others have been rescued from confusion, your own faith is strengthened, allowing you to face the news of 2026 not with anguish, but with the serenity of one who knows the end of the story. The Virgin has said, "In the end, my Immaculate Heart will triumph," and that triumph begins today in the heart of every person who decides to believe and act according to the celestial warnings. Do not let the noise of the world prevent you from hearing the heartbeat of providence that is already moving the pieces for your well-being, even when all seems lost on the human board. We are building together a network of light that will cross the borders of nations, uniting people of all languages under a single banner, the banner of divine truth that knows no defeat. In the next block, we will enter the climax of our revelation, where we will break down the specific events month by month for the year 2026, based on the visions of the most reliable seers. Prepare to know the names of the regions that will be the epicenter of change and how the configuration of the world map we know today will cease to exist to make way for something completely new. This information is the heart of the secret that many have tried to hide, but which today comes to light so that you are not taken by surprise when the skies darken. Remember the open loop. The final prayer is the key that opens the door of mercy, and we are only a few minutes away from receiving that gift from heaven together. Keep your spirit high and your attention fixed, because the density of what follows requires you to be fully present in this sacred moment of revelation. The destiny of nations is at stake, and your role in this great celestial drama is much more important than you ever dared to imagine. The evidence that 2026 will mark a milestone in celestial geopolitics is not found only in ancient scrolls, but in the astounding synchronization of events we are witnessing at this very moment. If we look closely, the tensions in the Red Sea, the unusual seismic movements in the Ring of Fire, and the crises of faith within the most sacred institutions are pieces of a puzzle that Mary began to assemble decades ago. This is the ultimate proof for the skeptics. Nothing happening is random. It all responds to a vibrational frequency of purification that the earth has begun to emit. Nations that today mock the sacred are seeing their own security systems fail in inexplicable ways, exposing the fragility of man when he turns away from the Creator's original design. You are seeing this message because your spirit recognized these signs before your intellect did, acting as a receiver for a truth that the system desperately tries to censor from digital platforms. The proof is before your eyes. The world as we knew it is fading to make way for the full manifestation of the justice that the Virgin announced in her deepest secrets. Another impactful testimony that validates our mission is that of a religious community in a current conflict zone who, following the instructions from the prophecies of Garabandal, knew the exact moment to shelter civilians before an attack that no radar detected. These men and women of faith had no satellites or spies. They had the rosary and the guidance of celestial geopolitics, which allowed them to read the signs of the sky with a precision that shamed local generals. When asked how they knew, their response was simple. The mother warned us that when the flowers of human pride were in full bloom, the wind of truth would strip them of their petals. This account is social proof that Marian protection is not a theological abstraction, but an active and effective civil defense for those in tune with her maternal frequency. In 2026, this form of spiritual intelligence will be the most valuable resource for nations wishing to survive the reconfiguration of the world map that lies ahead. You can begin to develop this sensitivity today by paying attention to the details the world ignores but heaven highlights with warning lights. It is vital to understand that the destiny of nations in this final cycle is not determined by gross domestic product, but by the internal product of prayer that each people generates before the throne of God. The Virgin Mary has revealed that there are refugee nations, places that, though poor in the eyes of the world, are immensely rich in celestial protection due to their devotion and resistance against unholy laws. In 2026, We will see the emergence of these nations as new centers of global balance, while powers that have based their strength on exploitation and systematic atheism will face a total paralysis. This is the great paradox of celestial geopolitics. The last shall be first in the new configuration of peace that will follow the great storm of purification. Many international policy experts will wonder how it is possible for entire regions to remain calm while the rest of the world burns in conflict, and the answer will always be the same. Mary's mantle is the only anti-missile shield that truly works. You must decide if you want your nation, or at least your home, to be counted among these oases of light that Providence has reserved. The emotional connection we feel at this moment stems from the certainty that we are not alone in this battle, but part of an invisible army led by the woman clothed with the sun. By sharing these testimonies and proofs, we seek to eradicate fear from your heart, replacing it with a holy boldness that allows you to act with wisdom when others fall into panic. The Virgin has repeatedly said, "Do not be afraid. Am I not here who am your mother?" And these words must be your anchor as we navigate the turbulent waters of this geopolitical analysis. The greatest proof that this message is for you is the peace you feel in the midst of the gravity of this revelation, a peace not of this world that no one can take from you. We are building a prayer chain that already encircles the globe, preparing the ground for the great divine intervention that will stop the hand of those who wish to destroy creation. Every second that passes brings us closer to the full fulfillment of the prophecies. And every word of this script is one more step toward understanding your personal mission in this 2026. Remember that the open loop remains open. The revelation about the prayer that breaks chains is only minutes away, and its effectiveness depends on the preparation we are doing now. Imagine that 2026 is a complex lock, and that this prayer is the master key designed by heaven to open the doors of protection and close the doors of destruction. It is not an amulet, it is an act of political and spiritual surrender to God's sovereignty over nations, something world leaders have forgotten, but we will remember for them. Celestial geopolitics teaches us that a single righteous person can save an entire city, and you have been called to be that righteous person for your family and your immediate environment. The proofs we have presented are only the prelude to the great manifestation that will occur when the time of mercy meets the time of justice in an eternal embrace. Keep your focus, as the most intense and revealing part of this video is about to begin, where the names of countries and specific events will finally be exposed without veils. The transition toward the final climax requires us to completely clear away prejudices and attachments to the system that is about to fall, so we can clearly see the new earth the Virgin promises. At this point, many viewers who were not prepared will have already left the video, leaving only the faithful remnant who have the strength to hear the full truth. You are part of that group that is not scandalized by divine justice, but yearns for it as the only means to restore true peace in a world torn apart by lies. The Virgin Mary is preparing her apostles of the end times to be beacons in the geopolitical darkness of 2026, and this knowledge is your first combat tool. Prophecy is not given to us so we can guess the future, but so we can build it under the guidance of the Holy Spirit and the protection of the Queen of Angels. Brace yourself, for the next block will deliver the most critical information of this entire script, marking the climax of our spiritual and political journey toward the destiny of nations. Finally, I want you to reflect on the power of your own will when it joins the celestial will, for therein lies the true force that moves the mountains of injustice. 2026 will not be a year of defeat for the children of God, but the year of the great liberation, where the chains of global oppression will begin to break under the weight of constant prayer. Every testimony we have shared is a seed of hope that must bloom in your daily life, transforming your fear into action and your uncertainty into unshakable faith. We are about to enter the moment of highest vocal and sonic intensity in this video, where the truth will resonate with the force of thunder over the rooftops of the entire world. Do not close your eyes now that the light is at its brightest. On the contrary, open them wider than ever to see the glory of God manifesting in human history. The destiny of nations is already in the hands of the Virgin Mary, and we are about to discover the outcome of this great celestial battle on earth. The moment has arrived. The veil is completely torn, and we stand before the raw reality of what 2026 represents on the Creator's stopwatch. This is not just a year of political shifts. It is the epicenter of a spiritual earthquake where nations that have risen against natural law will feel the weight of their own arrogance. The Virgin Mary has indicated that 2026 will be the year of the Great Separation, where the world's geography will be divided not by ideologies, but by the light or darkness that dwells within its laws. We will witness powers that today seem unreachable stagger before natural events that no scientist will be able to explain, revealing that true power does not reside in missile silos, but in obedience to heaven. The prophecies indicate that the very axis of the world will be shaken to remind humanity that the earth has an owner, and that owner has heard the cry of the humble. Prepare yourselves, for what is about to happen on the coasts and in the capitals of sin will be the definitive sign that the time of divine patience has given way to the time of His holy justice. Listen closely, because the destiny of nations in 2026 includes an event seers have called the Night of the Three Signs, where the sun, moon, and stars will give a joint testimony to the urgency of repentance. The borders of Europe and the Americas will be subjected to a pressure that will force rulers to fall to their knees, recognizing that their plans for global control are but ashes before the breath of the Holy Spirit. The Virgin has warned that fire will fall from the sky, not as blind destruction, but as a necessary purification to cleanse the blood of the innocent that cries out from the earth for justice. In this geopolitical climax, the financial system that has enslaved the poor will disintegrate in a single hour, leaving men with nothing but their faith to survive the following day. This is not a message of terror. It is the roar of the Lion of Judah, announcing that the kingdom of His mother is near and that nothing can stop the triumph of her immaculate heart. The intensity of this moment is the final call to wake up before the first thunder of 2026 resonates with a force that will stop the hearts of the ungodly. Those nations that have protected life from conception and maintained the fire of worship will be the ones to receive the dew of protection in the midst of the Great Tribulation. While the world watches in horror at the collapse of human institutions, these oasis regions will see miracles of multiplication and peace that defy all economic or political logic. Celestial geopolitics reveals that the Virgin herself has traced a line of protection around homes that pray the rosary with the heart, turning them into impregnable fortresses for the enemy. 2026 will see the emergence of a new generation of leaders, young people formed in silence and through trial, who will guide the survivors toward a true era of peace under the social reign of Jesus Christ. The final battle for the soul of the world will be fought in the heart of every family, and the victory has already been sealed by the tears of the Virgin, which today are transformed into the fire of hope. This is the revelation the world fears, that human power is an illusion, and that the only eternal reality is the love of God manifested in His perfect justice. At this point of maximum tension, we must look toward the east, for from there will come a sign that will end the confusion of nations and reveal the true face of global betrayal. The secret pacts signed in darkness will be exposed by the light of Marian truth, and the peoples will see clearly who their true enemies were and who were their protectors. 2026 will mark the end of the era of lies, where the media will no longer be able to hide the hand of God acting in contemporary history with power and glory. The Virgin has promised that although nations pass through the crucible, she will be there to collect every tear and transform it into a pearl of victory for the new world being born. It is imperative that you do not let yourself be dragged down by the despair of those without faith, but stand firm as a soldier of Christ in the post assigned to you. The intensity of this message is the necessary medicine for a soul that needs courage to face the giants that will fall before its very eyes in this cycle of grace and power. Imagine the impact of seeing the walls of materialism and militant atheism fall in a single year, liberating nations from the oppression that has held them captive for centuries of darkness. 2026 will be that year of liberation, the celestial jubilee where the debt of men will be weighed and mercy will be offered one last time as a bridge to eternal salvation. The Virgin Mary is right now interceding so that the punishment may be mitigated, but purification is inevitable because man has forgotten his origin and his final destiny in the heights. You are a witness to a revelation that few have the privilege to hear clearly. The map of the world is being redrawn by the pen of providence, not by the hand of tyrants. Every territorial conflict and every energy crisis in 2026 is but a birth pang of a new creation that is about to manifest in all its splendor and purity. Keep your lamp lit, for the climax of human history is happening right now, and you have been called to be a protagonist of this celestial triumph over the shadows of the earth. The voice of prophecy rises now to warn those who still doubt. Do not wait for the sky to darken to seek the refuge that is offered to you today for free and with love. The destiny of nations is no longer an unknown. It is a sentence that will be executed with the precision of a divine clock when the year 2026 reaches its point of spiritual maturity. The Virgin has said, "My children should not fear because I know the way through the desert." And that promise is your greatest asset in the market of spiritual survival. We are at the gates of the great prayer, the moment where celestial geopolitics becomes powerful intercession to change the course of history in your own life. This is the culmination of all we have spoken, the point where knowledge is transformed into divine power to break the chains that have bound your country and your family. The intensity reaches its zenith because the truth can no longer be contained. The triumph of Mary is imminent, and her light is already dissipating the dark shadows of the coming year, 2026. We finish this climax with a call for the unity of all believers in a single cry of faith that resonates from the valleys to the mountains of every nation on the globe. 2026 will not be remembered for the wars of men, but for the victory of the woman clothed with the sun over the dragon of lies and geopolitical destruction. Prepare yourselves to receive the blessing that has been prepared since before the foundation of the world for this specific moment in the history of salvation. The Virgin Mary is currently extending her mantle over this video and over every person listening, creating a bond of grace that transcends time and digital space. We are only one step away from the final prayer, the key that will open heaven over your home and close the gates of hell that try to devour the destiny of the nations. Hold your breath, lift your heart, and prepare for the most sacred moment of this encounter, where prophecy becomes life and hope becomes a tangible reality for us all. The destiny of nations is at stake, and victory begins with the prayer we are about to pronounce together. In this moment of sacred silence, I ask you to close your physical eyes and open the eyes of your soul, for we are about to activate the key that stops the storms of the world. The prayer we are about to perform is not a set of empty words, but a decree of spiritual sovereignty that reclaims your home, your family, and your nation for the kingdom of God. Feel the presence of the Virgin Mary enveloping your room, bringing a peace that defies all human logic and acts as an invisible shield against the uncertainties of 2026. It is here that celestial geopolitics becomes personal, where you stop being a mere spectator of chaos and become an intercessor for the peace of your people. Lift your hands, or simply your intention toward heaven, recognizing that above any ruler or system, there exists a throne of grace that inclines today to hear us. Together, as a single army of peace, we are going to break the chains of anguish and sow the seed of Marian victory in the very ground we stand upon. Heavenly Mother, Queen of all nations and Lady of all times, we stand before you at this threshold of 2026, seeking refuge under your protective mantle. We consecrate to you today the destinies of our countries, the borders of our lands, and the hearts of our rulers, asking that your divine wisdom prevail over their human plans. Envelop us in the fire of your love, so that no plague, no conflict, and no lack may touch the children who trust in your powerful intercession. We ask that the light of your immaculate heart dissipate the darkness of the geopolitics of death and restore hope in every corner of the world that suffers from the forgetting of God. May this prayer be the wall that stops the advance of evil and the door that opens the treasures of divine providence over our homes. Mother, take control of the events to come and transform them into opportunities for salvation and purification for all humanity thirsty for the truth. We feel now a renewed strength descending upon each of us, confirming that heaven has received our petition and that the guardian angels of the nations are already mobilizing on our behalf. This is the peace we promised at the beginning, the security that, no matter what happens on the international stage in 2026, you are marked by the sign of the faithful remnant. The chains of spiritual oppression that have bound your family for generations are beginning to break right now by the power of this united consecration. There is no geopolitical force, no matter how great, that can resist the momentum of a people who humble themselves before their Creator and seek the guidance of their most holy Mother. Maintain this state of grace during the coming days, knowing that your prayer has altered the scales of justice in favor of mercy over your city and your country. You are now a bearer of light in the midst of the world's night, a living witness that the final victory has already been decreed in the heights. Dear brothers and sisters, this video is only the beginning of a constant vigilance we must maintain as we approach the full fulfillment of these prophecies. I thank you for having the courage to remain until the end, proving that your commitment to the truth is stronger than the fear or distraction the world offers. Remember that celestial geopolitics is a daily path of faith. It is not enough to know what will come. It is necessary to live in a state of preparation and charity toward our neighbor. 2026 will find us standing tall, with heads held high and the rosary in hand, ready to receive the Lord in any of His historical or spiritual manifestations. Your presence here was not by chance. It was a divine appointment to equip you with the weapons of light before the darkness tries to advance another step. Go into the world sharing this peace, knowing that Mary's mantle is larger than any ocean and stronger than any earthly empire or political power. As we close this script, I ask that you do not keep this treasure only for yourselves. Share this warning and this prayer with those who still walk in uncertainty. The best way to protect your nation is to multiply the number of people who pray and who understand the signs of the Marian times. In the description of this video, you will find more resources to delve deeper into these revelations and to join our worldwide intercession community for the destiny of nations. Let us remain attentive, let us remain united, and above all, let us continue trusting that the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary is the only final goal of human history. 2026 will be the year in which we see the glory of God manifest in amazing ways for those who have known how to wait in the patience of the saints. I bless your homes, I bless your families, and I consecrate your lives to the service of the truth that sets us free from all fear and every chain. Finally, I want to tell you that this channel will continue to be your point of reference for analyzing every movement on the world stage under the light of celestial geopolitics. We will not allow censorship or noise to extinguish the voice of prophecy that guides us toward the era of peace promised at Fatima and confirmed in every apparition. Stay tuned for our next installments, where we will continue to break down the events of 2026 with the rigor and anointing these times demand of us. History is in God's hands, and we are His humble instruments to announce that the day of liberation is much closer than men dare to imagine. Thank you for your loyalty, for your testimonies, and for being part of this network of light that crosses the globe like an unbreakable ray of hope. May the peace of Christ and the protection of Mary accompany you today, tomorrow, and always on the path toward the glorious destiny that awaits us all. This has been the message on the destiny of nations in 2026, a message of urgency, of justice, but above all, of a maternal love that never gives up. We will see you in the next video, where we will continue to decipher the mysteries of heaven to successfully navigate the storms of the earth. May God bless your nation. May the Virgin protect your home, and may the Holy Spirit illuminate your path in every step of this final cycle. Always remember, the end of the story is already written, and we are on the winning side. Long live Christ the King, and may the Immaculate Heart of Mary triumph throughout the world. See you soon, brave apostles of the end times. Keep the faith burning and your eyes fixed on high, for our redemption is near. Amen.